morning and welcome to SMESOS. It is the sixth episode. SMESOS is basically a life raft for small businesses when you're having a tough time. And we launched it actually back in 2020, March 2020. So I've just run in and my rather glittery headpiece, I'm keeping my birthday vibes from yesterday. We launched it in 2020 when basically the world went nuts, didn't we? We didn't know what we were doing. And so I wanted to be there with you. And that's when it launched. And I've relaunched it basically 2 years later when we're still having a difficult time with everything. And not still, but we're re-entering another era. And it's meant that things have not gone as according to plan as we had hoped. Let me just move my ring light for a second. I'm just going to rather busy morning. You know, one of those mornings you feel like you potentially have done a week in a morning. That's been my morning. But what a birthday. Thank you so much, everybody, for your birthday wishes yesterday. My goodness, what a gorgeous day I had. It was ridiculous. I felt so loved by you, the community, and also my team. I've got some of my gifts to show you in a minute. But today we're going to be having a deep and meaningful session with Coach Kate. We're going to be covering a number of things. One is asking for help and how difficult it is to ask for help, but how completely life-changing it can be when you do ask for help. The other is, this week I've noticed, and last week when we spoke about basically forgetting that we are the main salesperson for our businesses. But why do we sometimes not feel comfortable selling our company? Why do we feel like potentially we rely on Instagram to do that job for us? And actually what we should be doing is doing it ourselves. So we're going to get into the psychology of that, but also what happens if you can't be those things for your business? How to admit almost that you need help in other areas and what you could do about it. So we're going to be covering quite a few things about rewiring this to help your business go faster. And that's a really important thing. I was thinking about it the other day and why my book, Do What You Love, Love What You Do, is not your classic business book. Because ultimately, what we tend to think, don't we? We tend to think we have a business and we're a business person and woman and man. Actually, we're a human being. And when we run our own companies, the line that potentially some people, the line that we didn't want to draw, where you have one life, which is your work life, and another life that is your personal life, can basically be separated by the tube journey home. We don't have that. So we have an entire 360. And that means the human being that is running the business, you, is so incredibly important to the success of your company. It actually starts with here. It doesn't necessarily even start with the product. It doesn't start with the website. It doesn't start with your social media. And I think we all forget that. It starts with us. It starts with, if we're having terrible time with our marriage, let's just say, and we are at home, we are, there is conversations of divorce, or it's not got that bad, but it is really upsetting you. I'm telling you now from personal experience that will absolutely have an effect on your sales, completely and utterly. If you are worried about your child or something's going on in your life that you don't feel in control of, this will 1 billion% not allow you to think about how to scale your company, for instance. It all starts with us. So if we thought, and that's on the personal front of our lives and things like that, but it's exactly the same when it comes to some of the business things that we think about. We talked about how not to quit. That basically when we get into that mindset of quitting, it's actually a really low point. It's one that we're feeling out of control. And as Kate talked to us last week about, one of the things that we need to do is be kind to ourselves in that moment in time. Be the kindest, best friend that you could be to you, because that is one of the worst feelings when you want to give up in your company. Then you carefully have to watch the IGTV last week, which is basically saying, what would you do instead? Is the grass really greener? All of these sorts of things. You need to earn a living. So what would you do? Start up a new small business? Or would you think that actually, even if you went into a corporate job, would you look back at the business you've got now and say, oh my gosh, I was in such control then? So do you see that rewiring we did last week was almost night and day? And that's what we're going to do today. We're going to be talking about asking for help, because ultimately that is going to drive our business. We're going to be talking about how we can build up, muster the courage, what we can do to ourselves to become that perfect, brilliant salesperson. But then if not, we're not going to be those things. What else could we do? How can we bring people into our businesses? But what's that mindset we need to get into? But before we get into that gloriousness of that today, I can't wait to get excited. Let me just share a few things from my birthday. So this is my Gary. Gary is Gabby and Carrie, my founder sisters combined, okay? And so they're called Gary in the office. And they created my Monster Munch birthday. So this is a handmade card. And you can see here, it says, I'm pickled. Maybe if I'd had too many glasses of wine. I didn't even get to that point yesterday. This is a vintage Monster Munch card. And it says, welcome to the Monster Munch Munchers and White Wine Drinkers Club. Here are your official membership badges. And then at the back, it says, I know it's backwards, it says Gary Designs. That's my Carrie and that's my Gabby. Or is that Gabby or that's Carrie? I can't tell. Then on a more serious note, I got a beautiful card from the team by amazing Emma Jackalone. It says Chief Monster Munch Muncher. Look at that. Isn't that brilliant? What else did I get? Oh, Gary gave me a brilliant from Andy, because I'm going to talk about this more. Potentially I'm going to do a new email that is almost like woman to woman and things that are on my mind. And I'm thinking about doing that. So less about business necessarily and more about traveling as a woman through this world that we're living in at the moment, and some of the things that might be helpful for you guys to share, and maybe what's on my mind. And that can be so many things. So one of the things I've been dealing with is my hormones. Turned 45 yesterday, and for the first time in my life they are massively affecting me. So I'm going to talk about that. And anyway, on that note, they bought me brain defogger. There we go. I know it's backwards, by Andy from Vinegar and Brown Paper. So we're going to put some mint spray in there. And I'm just going to do that. And then the next time I forget, like, basically my mother's name, I know it's okay. The Jacksons, oh my goodness. Well, it seems as it was a crisp theme. Look at this bag here. It's made out of crisp packets. Isn't that brilliant? And it's just absolutely glorious. And they very kindly popped me in a lavender polo little, what is that? To stop the moths in your underwear drawer. If only I had an underwear drawer, but I'm going to put it somewhere. Oh, look at this. This is, we spoke to Emma about, I'm going to wait. I'm going to see if actually Kate's got it. So I'm going to wait there. Now, Mum and Dad bought me these. So these are vintage plates. So these are the Victorian vintage plates that, do you know Daverte Monte? God, please tell me I've said that right. I'm addicted to all of their lettuce plates and their strawberry bowls and everything. But these are the original. Aren't they beautiful? Now, because I'm totally not as clever as all of you, I didn't actually realise that these, well, maybe I do if I spent some time thinking about it, but the Victorians did it the best. And that is what has obviously inspired that business. Also, talking of gorgeous plates, have a look at what Amy Swan made me. Now that makes me want to have a wall of plates, and I'm not a plate wall girl at all. That doesn't interest me, but now it does, because if I have something like that, which says keep your eyes forward and your heart open. Look how beautiful that is. I just thought you'd quite like to see some of these things, seeing as we all are sort of the same ilk. Now, what about this? I don't know if you saw my stories. I'm a big fan, like super fan, almost like she might think I'm like one of her sort of crazy friend stalkery people. But Anya Hindmarsh is a huge inspiration. If you've never listened to her podcast with me, oh my God, this is like, I think she's basically a genius. Of course, her products are luxury, so it's not for everyone. I'm not saying that we need to buy the stuff. I'm saying that how she approaches things. how she approaches her themes in her shops, what she's done. I just think it is unbelievably inspiring. And so look what the girls got me there. This is, oh no, it says, look, wine. So when I'm walking along, I'm wondering if it also gives the wrong signal if I just went to the supermarket and had my wine glass attached to my bag. This is also a bag from her that I bought myself on a big moment in Holly&Co. So that was my happy thing. So yes, so the girls spoilt me rotten. Oh, and last year, Susie, who does all of our PR and things, oh no, for Christmas, I think I've shown you this already. For Susie bought me for Christmas this year past this Monster Munch ring, and it came in its own Monster Munch package. Can you believe how brilliant that is? Anyway, so many gorgeous things. I just thought I'd share that because I know that we all love the crack of products and newness and love it. And I literally love my birthday because of that. Oh, okay, so I could have done just QVC. Would you like me to do a QVC one day? Go on, tell me, because I think my happiest place on this entire planet, if it's not here doing this, would be telling you about new small businesses and amazing products and all that sort of stuff. Do you think that would be a good thing for me to do? I'd love you to tell me yes or no, because I slightly feel like there needs to be someone doing that. Like you have sort of Jay, don't you? He does the reclaimed side of things. You have Kirsty, who does, I think, more crafty country craft. And yet I feel there's a massive missing gap. You have all the people that do baking brilliantly, and thank crikey no one's ever going to see me bake or cook. But what about this section? What about this section of people? I would absolutely love to know what you think. Right, let's read out some comments. Lots of people wishing you a lovely day for yesterday. Thank you. Thimble and Fabric, morning Holly. I've got your words from last week rolling around in my head at the moment. We didn't come this far in our business only to come this far. Loving the lives. Actually, that wasn't me, was it? It was an amazing member of the community. So you know what I'm going to ask everybody before we get started with this session? Please, can you invite one person? So if you've been joining me for the last, what has it been, 6 days, why don't you pick somebody else? Pick someone else that you could join. So please, can I see everyone? Just think of one person that you think would love this live. Please at them now. Thank you, Michelle Corbin Design. You're the first there to help someone. Copper top cards. Brilliant. Thank you so much, everybody. There we go. Hello Time Planner is inviting Sally Dreams Photography. We've got Mystic Jagger inviting Blended by Name. Slugs and Snails. Thank you, darling. Fauna Kids. Thank you, everybody. Keep inviting people, because remember that line we just read out is actually from the community. We didn't come this far in our business only to come this far. And that's where we can help each other. Calm Lettering. Can these lives be every weekday forever? I wish they could. Honestly, I frigging wish they could. The team will tell you, this is my happiest place. The Curious Creative Club recorded your book yesterday, recommended your book yesterday. I was thinking, recorded it? Wow. Recommended your book just yesterday. Love it. Thank you so much. The Paper Collective, I'm happy to ask for help. It's a lack of business finance that holds me back from asking. Okay, interesting. Running Wildflower Designs. Oh my God, I feel like you are speaking directly to me. Okay, well, we're going to go to Kate in a minute. Sparkles Eco Shop. Good morning, everyone. You are too true. Kindness is paramount. Popsy Clunk, so true. When you're a mum too, there's so many curveballs thrown in. My business is like my third child. Absolutely. This is my third child, not on the high street, is my second, and my Harry is my first. Wouldn't you love, everyone needs to read Holly's book. Thank you so much for saying that. Suze Lakes Designs, yes. QVC, please. Fenton Yard Flowers, yes. Do QVC. That would be so useful and fun. I mean, I don't think I'll go on QVC. I'm thinking, well, what if I created my own QVC? I don't know. I just love this. I just love that moment sharing everything with you. Okay, so we're going to head to Coach Kate because we're going to be talking about asking for help. We're going to be talking about getting comfortable with selling. We need our notepad, pens ready. Make sure you link anybody you think that they could do with this session. And let's get started. Right, so Coach Kate, you think I remember her handle from now on, but I you know, that's where I need the brain defogger from Andy, isn't it? I need a big spray in my face right now. Here we go. I'm just going to have and what we're gonna, I'm hoping she might have, oh,
hi.
You're upside down.
I know. I did it for Mark just to make him feel a bit better.
How brilliant. Now, I don't know if you've got this.
I sure do.
Oh, so this is what Emma and Jack alone, look, push it forward there, Kate, so we can see. This is what Emma has made for Kate and I, because we talk about this word quite a lot, the overwhelm, isn't it? And so today, Kate, we're going to get right into it, because we feel uncomfortable asking for help. I know I have, right?
Yeah.
And because we're meant to be independent, strong women, we can do this, and men, independent. We decided to run our own businesses. How can we find it so hard to ask for help? Is it a natural thing?
I think so. I think I would say majority of people find it hard, don't they, on some level? Because usually, you know, just by the very nature of you needing to ask for help, you're in some kind of vulnerable situation, aren't you?
Yes.
Like something's already sort of going wrong, maybe, or you're stuck, and that's just naturally a hard place to be. I think that there's various reasons though that sit behind what's keeping people stuck and not asking for help, and I think that's key in starting to understand what's not allowing you to do it. So I think the first thing to do is start to ask yourself why. Like, you're in a position where you really want to ask for help, like, you know, you need to ask for help, but something's stopping you from doing it. And I think that's the moment to pause a little bit and just sort of say, what is it that I'm saying to myself here? What is it that I'm believing to be true, or believing might happen if I ask for help? And I think, you know, there's some really common examples of what goes on for people. One of the big ones is that people feel vulnerable asking for help, and they believe that showing any vulnerability is a sign of weakness.
Yes.
And people interpret it as a sign of weakness. I think that probably comes from our life history. I mean, there's loads of banana skins through life, isn't there, that will lead us to think that that's not okay. Probably schooling, you know, when you're 6 and you're trying to be taught how to do independent work and you're stuck, but you don't want to ask for help because you know you're supposed to be getting on with it. And the kid who does ask for help, everyone's like, oh, you know, it's that kind of thing. And we're conditioned quite early on just to not do it. But the truth of it is that actually people see expressions of vulnerability as a sign of strength. That's the truth. So you can think of loads of examples probably where people have come on and they've shared their stories about their struggles, what they're struggling with, and it's inspiring, isn't it?
Yes, it is. I mean,
yeah,
think about the people that open up on here.
Yes.
You know, for me, that is as an absolute sign that they are maybe happy with who they are. You know, that they feel like they can ask for help because it's not taking something away from them.
Yeah, exactly that, Holly. Exactly that. And I think that, you know, we, like I say, we've been maybe conditioned in our lives, like in our younger lives, not to ask for help, you know, whether that's school, whether that's like our first job where you taught something that's sort of relatively simple and you've just got to be like, I'm just going to learn this thing and then I'm off. Life, and we're managing our own businesses. Life is not simple. What we're managing our own businesses and our own lives, and that is complex. It's a really tough challenge. Yeah. So it's not as though we're asking for help around something that's really simple. And I think the truth of it is, you know, you are good enough. Like you say, that's what you see in people when they ask for help. They are good enough. And actually, this is a smart move. This is a smart move right now to ask for help when you need it, rather than kind of blindly kind of trying to carry on and tying yourself in knots and getting yourself stuck. So I think, you know, that's how we've got it. It's another rewiring of, you know, vulnerability is a sign of strength, not a sign of weakness. That's one of the reasons.
And I couldn't agree with you more, because I was just thinking about this. So, you know, I'm not naming names, but so I've interviewed 160 amazing founders on my podcast who have built these incredible brands. And I would say that I've been so fortunate. Now, these are people I sit down with, okay, and I'm like, I cannot believe I am interviewing blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God, this is it. Now, then a few months later, and what I love is that I've become hopefully friends with these people. And, you know, we share such a moment in those podcasts that people can capture. Like, it's really true. And then some of these people who are awesome ask me for my help or my opinion. And I'm like going, are you joking me? You're asking me for your help. I'm here. Oh my gosh. And I then say to my younger self, in a way, Holly, that's, you know, that person you admire, she's asked you for help, which means that she is, even if she could get better in your books, she does. Because for me, it's that sign of absolute strength. That she's learned, obviously, or he's learned along the way, that is smart business, asking for help. And so I just wanted to share that, because it happens to all of us. And so the recipient of being asked for help, I don't look at that person and think, what have they just, surely they should know that. I think the complete opposite. I think, oh my God, that's obviously what you do when you're a big girl and boy, you know. That's like
And how does it make you feel when someone asks you for help? How does that make you feel?
Oh, joyous. I get asked by this community. I get asked by other people. I wish I had 40 billion hours in the day. But when someone asks me for help, it is, it's just like a real, you've been chosen. You know, they thought of all the people that they could ask for help, but they chose you. And I think that that's something that actually asking for help is also a little gift to that person as well, you know. And it's not something that you feel like you're taking away from me. I've never thought people asking me for help is laboring my time. I might, what do most people think? But do you know what I mean? It's not taken away from me. It's a lovely gift for me.
But most people believe it to be a burden when it's you doing the asking. Most people are saying, I can't burden somebody, it's too much, it's an imposition. And you're right, Holly, the truth is that most people like to help, especially people in a community like this, which is just brimming with kindness. People like to help. Look at the pandemic. You know, we were clambering over ourselves to help, and we were stood outside banging pans and clapping just as a sign of support. You know, Ukraine, you know, people are trying to help. People are seeking ways to help. And yes, this is, you know, pandemic and, you know, Ukraine is different to what we're talking about here. But the truth is there's loads of people who'll be looking to help. So, and wanting to help. There's lots of people who might want to help you because they love you, like friends or family. There's other people who might be, you know, in that sort of giving back moment of their lives, you know, who have successfully run businesses, you know, often people who are coming to the end of their careers and they're looking to give something back, or people who, you know, have kind of got themselves into a really comfortable position where they've got the capacity to be able to give to others. And I think that that's, you know, a brilliant thing. In fact, somebody said, I wrote the name down just on here before, Loudmouth Content. I just noticed somebody said that she does, she or he, I don't know who it was, does lots of pro bono work on helping with content. So there's people out there who are actually looking for the opportunity to help. So I think, you know, just go and search it out and don't perceive it to be a burden, you know. And, you know, there will be ways in your life that you can reciprocate, but this is about also doing it guilt-free, you know, and just knowing, trusting that.
And it's about you know, sometimes you absolutely, and we're going to talk about swapping things, but sometimes, you know, you're burning out, you are basically in that position, right? You're in that position, and actually you can't give back to that person at that point in time.
No.
You need help, but that
Yeah.
is okay. And we talk about, actually, this is also funny because this is the red flag at Holly&Co in our culture and values. You know, we have basically, you've got to show the red flag. You've got to, as part of the culture and values, not keep silent about things you're going through. Because what people don't want to do, what would people want us to do? Fail? The last thing that we would want us to do is fail. But if no one raises the red flag, how can anyone help us? Kate, I've got so many comments. I've got to read them out so that we can clear it. So we can get to, so lots of people saying yes to the QVC idea, which is just, thank you very much. The Curious Creative Club. Oh, wow. I need some of those flags. That's from Emma Jackalone, the Curious Creative Club. Hello, Time Planner. Hello, Kate. Love it when you're on Holly's live.
Oh, thank you.
Slugs and snails. The hardest for me is finding the line between asking for help and feeling like you failed. That's a nice way of putting it. That's such a good point. Sparkles Eco Club Shop. I love that we are all here for each other. Vulnerability is a superpower. Copper top cards. This is so true. Such strength to show such vulnerability. Sharon Gitt asks for help is definitely a positive. It shows you're in control. That's a really good one. Yes. Hello, look at me now. I always say, think about the advice you would give your best friend. That's what you need to listen to. Acorn Glad York, if you don't climb the mountain, you don't see the view, but you need support to get there. I love your positivity today. 2 questions. Michelle Corbin Designs. What if you know that asking for help shows strength, but still find it hard to ask? How do you just make that step?
Well, it's little experiments, isn't it? I think, like I said to begin with, you've got to start by trying to do a bit of rewiring. So the first thing is to ask yourself why. What's so catastrophic about this, idea that means I just can't do it, right? And just do that work first, and ask yourself. So, for example, what am I saying to myself? Well, I'm saying to myself that if I ask for help, it means that I've failed. Why does that matter? Well, if I failed, then people are going to see that, they're going to stop buying my products. Oh, why does that matter? Well, if they stop buying my products, my business will go under. Why does that matter? Well, then I can't pay my mortgage, I'll have to sell my house. When we quickly catastrophize in these moments, and actually ask yourself what else might be true, right? What else might be true? And in that example, this is one of the other reasons people don't like to ask for help, and somebody just mentioned it then by saying it's a fine line between asking for help and failure. Now, I think one of the other reasons people don't ask for help is to do with this sort of perfectionist mindset and lack of willingness to let go of control. So one of the things you might be saying to yourself is, I have to do it all by myself. Like, I have to. This is it's my business. I have to do this thing or tackle this hurdle. And it's quite multi-layered, that. So there's a little bit about being uneasy about giving away some control. What is it you're saying to yourself about that? Well, if I give away control, it won't be done as well as I would do it. Okay, how well will it be done though? Well, maybe 90%. Is that a failure? No. Yeah. So if I give away a bit of control, that does not signal a direct pathway to failure. Okay, what we've got to do here is perfectionists see success and failure like this. Yes. Right next to each other. And actually, the truth is, there's an enormous space in the middle, isn't there, to play with and to experiment with. And these small steps exist in that space. So actually, I'm going to give away a little bit of control here. Maybe it's not perfect, but it's still here. It's still really far away from failure. So I'm going to try that. There's also the sort of perfectionism of, I will be a failure. If I can't do this, it's going to be 100% me, or I'm a failure. Well, actually, no. There's all this space in between for you to be absolutely brilliant at lots of different things, without everything having to be 100% you. So I think taking the first step is a small step, but I think it's looking at, for some people, it might be looking at that space in between, doing it all myself, 100% perfection, it's got to be great, and failure, and looking at, little opportunities to experiment and try something where you can be satisfied you're still doing a good job, you're not giving away complete control. Everything's not gonna fall apart, you know, but it doesn't equal failure.
I love this. And this is getting really into the nuts and bolts of it. You know, everybody here won't want to maybe admit it, but that you've hit sort of the nail in the head, which is potentially also the reason we don't want to ask for help. Number one, I think we don't want to be a burden. I don't think we want to rely on people or put more on their plate, etc., etc. And I do think that's a huge one. But we've just spoken about actually the person you're asking wants to be asked, and they will be so kind in saying that they can't do it right now. But that is really true. The next one is losing that bit of control. So if I ask them to help, does that mean they save my business? If I ask them to help, and we're going to talk about this, isn't it, about the skills in our businesses. But if I ask them to help and literally everything turns around because of their help, does
what
that
does that say about me?
What does that say about me? And I want it to be all about me. Now, I'm just going to put it out there. You know, small businesses who are working their bejeebers off, 50 billion hours a day, everything. They don't want someone to come swooping in and slightly shine a light that it isn't about them. And actually maybe then how do you say, oh yes, I turned it around, and then not mention that person? Do you know what I mean? Like, we need to have that feeling that we can do it. So I think you outing the fact that someone coming in to help you, someone coming in to advise you on the best sales for your product, or advising you what else you could be doing, helping you with your P&L, or helping someone, doesn't mean that they are now your business. They've just done 10% or 1%. That's it.
Exactly. It's a really smart move. You know, it's all part of growing your business, isn't it? And keeping your business going, keeping your business thriving. And good on you for being able to find the people and have the brilliant relationships to be able to call on people to come and support you and plug in some of the gaps, whether it's a skills gap, whether it's a capacity gap, or whether actually you're running your business and you're like, you know, this is such an energy drain because I hate doing this part of my business. And like, actually you can outsource stuff, and that's brilliant. Or, you know, you bring people in to support you along the way. I mean, it's a pain point, isn't it? I think, particularly for people who are running their business on their own, because it feels quite scary, that like initial letting go of control. I'm
going to ask Kate, while I read out these comments, for people, if they felt comfortable enough, and we're going to get on to the next subject, if they felt comfortable enough, people who are thinking of asking for help, what is the help that they're looking for? Like, I'm just wondering if people could just say it out here, because actually that might be just ripping off the plaster for people anyway, just to put it out there. And we could start to see what is the types of help people are looking for. Peachy Parrot, I feel I could benefit from help. Oh, here we go. But I don't know how to articulate or identify exactly where would work best. I would love someone to scan my business, I get this, and give me a real general overview and advice. Well, I think that you could ask someone that you respect to do that, couldn't you?
Yes.
But just someone you respect, say, look at my business, be gentle with me, but don't not tell me the truth. Scan my business. Could you spend half a day with me? And I think your point, by the way, people in different stages in their life, people who might be at the end of their careers, they might be in a corporate job for 30 years, you might want to ask them, you know, to be a buddy with you for a while, maybe come into your business, because they are looking for that. You know, we're living longer than ever. People are brilliant. They would love to feel that life and energy again in a small business.
Definitely. And what about a skills swap as well? So it might be, you know, what have you got to offer as well? Like in this community, say, like, this is what I need help with, and here's what I have to offer. You know, we've done that, haven't we, Holly, before, with some coaching work that with the team. And I've said, actually, let's not charge for that part of it. I need some business advice? Or, you know, you've very kindly allowed Fiona to help me with some finance advice, to have somebody look at it who knows it much better than I do. And that's worked really, really well.
Yeah, it hasn't it? And it's been brilliant. And so much so that we don't even think of it like that. You know, it's helping each other out. And I love this. Jasmine and Lily Floral Reese, I asked for help from my local council after I started watching you, SOS live, and got it. Thank you
Yay.
for inspiring and encouraging me.
Yay.
This is brilliant news.
Brilliant.
Brilliant. And so it began. Yes, passing over control is definitely the main reason I struggle to ask for help, because it touches that nerve, you know, the nerve of going, you know, it has literally the day been saved by this person, and I am, and maybe it's the imposter syndrome kicking in straight there, or
I think it's also like a little, for some people, a little bit of sort of martyrdom, and like I've got to always be the hero. You know, we talk about it, don't we? And you know, places like this, there's books about, you know, there's sort of like, I've got to be a superhero, I've got to be all things to all people. And I think women particularly, but men as well, you know, we can have a tendency to sacrifice ourselves and be, you know, there's something going wrong here, I don't want to put it on somebody else, and actually it's my job to be the hero here. And we step into it all the time, and we're sacrificing ourselves, but also it's having a detrimental impact on the business. And it's being able to let go of that a little bit, of this sort of need to be a hero, because you don't, you know, it's not about that.
It's not about that. I don't know when it did become that, but it has become that, definitely. I feel that. We've got running wild floral designs. If I ask for help, I always end up feeling guilty and giving even more in return, even though I can't afford to. Yes, I get that. You're overwhelmed, and then you ask for help, and then you basically ended up pouring more into your cup, and it's overflowing more than before you asked for help.
Completely. We did a live on guilt, actually. You should look at it. So it'll be on your grid, and there'll be loads of stuff in there to help with that.
Yes. Running wild floral designs. Yes, look at the IGTV, an entire session on guilt, because guess what, us women feel guilty. Well, guilt is our middle name, isn't it? So do look at that. Flower child heirloom, not afraid to ask for help, but not sure who to ask with the specific knowledge when, which is why these sessions are really useful. So we should go into that. Actually, let me read out a couple more, because we're about to go into a couple of areas, aren't we? Copper top cards, knowing who to ask is a big barrier too, I feel. Paper and word, I struggle with what is okay to ask others for help with. Everyone else is so busy, it feels hard to reach out to strangers when you feel like a burden. And so here, how do I find, so Sassy Planner, how do I find the right person to help? My business is doing really well, but I don't know how to get to the next step. And the Curious Creative Club, can I just ask how you manage not feeling a failure with the stuff outside your business? I'm comfortable with how that's going, but I work really hard and feel everything else is suffering. So can I ask how you manage not feeling a failure with the stuff outside your business? Oh, right. Okay, that's right. Gosh, that's a bigger conversation, Curious Creative Club. I get what you mean there. If you go and watch some of mine and Kate's sessions, go back and watch all of them, and we do cover so much of this, don't we? Talk about our barriers that we need to put up. We talk about, what else, Kate?
Non-negotiables is the main one. So that's the art of that is about, you know, when you say a failure in the rest of your life, what I'm guessing you'll be talking about is some of the things that really matter to you, that are either slipping away, or you're not feeling like they're quite in the place that you want them to be for your own happiness, energy and well-being. And there's an art to identifying those usually, and sort of saying, actually, if there's 2 or 3 things that I need to take really good care of, what boundaries do I need to put in place around them? And we did quite a few IGTVs that give you really practical ways to do that. Even though it might seem a bit impossible, it's not.
It's not. We're going to now go on, and I think we'll twist it, Kate, from rather than starting with selling, almost like we lead in maybe with, because people are saying, so I don't know how to ask for, okay, so we're saying rewire on asking for help. Then it's who do I ask for help? You know, how do I find these people? Do you want to start with that? And I can also add in. Yeah.
I mean, okay, let's start with that, because I think there's another argument also to say, do you definitely need help with all these things in your business? So there's another mindset piece around that.
Yeah.
Do you want me to go there? Or do you want me to start with what to do?
Yeah, go there. Let's go there.
Okay, so this is one thing that I notice about people all the time, which is you'll start your business with this, what's called a growth mindset. And a growth mindset is that a belief that with enough hard work, you can develop skills, essentially.
Yes.
So your brain and your talent is just the starting point. But you can always improve through trying and experimenting and hard work. A fixed mindset is when you're telling yourself that like you can or you can't do something, full stop. Like, yes. I am good at maths or I am not, full stop.
Yes.
And we tend to start our businesses with this growth mindset. We don't know really what we're doing. Yes. We're innovating as we go along. We're not copying generally, hopefully. You know, a really clear, well-trodden path that's sort of like, as long as I copy this exact thing in exactly that way, you know, it's a done deal. We have this growth mindset of experimentation, of courage, of purpose, you know, of passion about what it is that we're creating. And that somehow allows us to step through those insecurities in the beginning. Otherwise, we'd never get started. So one, we've got that. Okay, that is in our toolkit. Whether we're accessing it and living that at this point in time is another question, but it's there. Then your business, you know, does well, or you maybe get to certain hurdles, or it starts to grow and you're like, this is now feeling a bit overwhelming and I'm getting to these like sticky points. The business is growing brilliant, but it's come with these extra challenges. And actually, I am not good at those. Finance, I am not good at finance, you know, and comparison creeps in. I am not as good as, you know, full stop. And actually, we then start to get a bit obsessed about those things like sales, for example, sales targets. They become this like major focus for us. And actually, that can become like a bit of a red herring, because actually where we started was with passion and purpose and creativity, and the growth came. The growth followed that, rather than this starting with this like fear base of got to have these sales targets, got to be able to do this, got to be able to do that, and I can't because I have this fixed mindset about it. So I would say there's a little bit about where the hurdles are. Have you lost connection to what's already in your toolkit? You know, that's making you feel so stuck, right? Has it sort of blown out of proportion because you've stopped focusing on of those things, and like a sales target or a financial spreadsheet's almost taken over everything else, so you're sort of feeling like things are failing. The second bit about that is and what in your toolkit can you capitalize on to overcome some of those hurdles already. The second thing is, if you can get yourself into more of a growth mindset, what would become possible if you were just to step through into courage and step through some of those insecurities again? Is it something that you could develop? You know, is it something that somebody could mentor you about or teach you about? Is it something that you could try, you know, or are you stopping yourself from even trying because of absolute fear of failure? Like an example for me, very early in my career was, I just finished a master's degree in business psychology, and I was offered a job designing psychometric tests, you know, those like personality tests and things like that.
I love those.
Yeah, I know you love those, don't you? And so you have to be good at statistics and psychometrics, and that was my Achilles heel. All from age 5, goodness knows, I am not good at maths. I am not good at maths. That's it. That's me, not good. And I was offered this job. It's my first job in London. I wanted to move to London. It was a great company. And I just said to myself, well, if I can do this, I can do anything. So I may as well give it a go. And to be fair, it was far less risky, you know, when you're in your early 20s. Yes. So I was there able to experiment. However, turns out I was quite good at it. Who knew? I was quite good at it. I had these moments where I was like, my God, I've totally screwed up here at 10 o'clock at night, you know, with these clients, and I've sort of sent them a spreadsheet with all these stats in that I thought I'd completely got wrong. And I hadn't. And, you know, it took me a while, but it was like, I was good at it. I was good at it. And you don't know if you don't try, but you've got to get yourself into a growth mindset to sort of see what's possible.
I love it, Kate. Thank you for sharing that story, because I think that sums it up. And I think this is a great place that we have linked in from asking for help, but then taking a second to say, when we say we need help, what do we need help doing?
Yes.
So now we're going to go into sort of the practical side. Is like, then there is times, isn't there? So it's this moment. Do spend that moment, everybody. Remember, growth mindset to fixed mindset. What are you in at the moment when you're feeling like you need this help? Is it because you're actually in a fixed mindset rather than the fuck it mindset, you know, rather than the Jesus, you know, I couldn't do that before. Who thought I could even be here today? I managed to get a manufacturer who never deals with small businesses to sign up with me. But that's when I was in my Kate Winslet gumption phase. That's when I was like that sort of, you know, that person. And now I'm a bit more weary and I'm a bit more tired and I've got the responsibilities. And actually, maybe that's changing everything in your mind. I'm going to read some comments and then I think we should go into the other side, which is then you do need, so you've decided, okay, actually, I don't want to do that bit, right? That is not the best use of my time. How and who do I ask? Hello, Time Planner. Surrounding yourself with experts is the key to a strong business. And I think also here, just to say, you know, there are experts in your next door neighbors, right? You know, the amount of people I have tapped up just for a quick coffee, and I'll give you that story in a minute, who were literally my neighbors because I knew that's their job and I had not an absolute clue of what they do, but they were willing to help me. Ren and Thread UK, we aren't taught all the skills we need to run our businesses. We have to learn from each other. Altruistic living, I outsourced an accountant. January is no longer a dreaded month.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah. Art for the soul. I've learned it's impossible to try and do everything yourself. I stuck to what I'm good at and outsourced what I'm not. The inappropriate thought store. I'm looking for help with motivation. I have days where I feel like I'm living and working in the same four walls, and it can be very difficult and lonely. Well, you found the right place, by the way. This community, you must go and join the Facebook group. Hello, Quirk and Whimsy. I love the idea of skill swapping. We all have stuff we hate doing and things we are energized by. Swapping is a perfect solution. Gail, Cherry Pots of Joy, I need help with marketing advice. The Paper Collective, I need someone to do PR and social. Financial support to get the business to grow would also be great. And Peachy Parrot, great advice, thank you. I think I need to get out of my head that I'm annoying business people asking for their time and reframe it in something that they might be enjoying. So we've got 10 minutes. Let's just tackle then. There's lots of people there. Like my example was, I went to my neighbor. I had an issue with finance and I knew that my neighbor ran a business doing that. And so I had no ability to hire them because they are bazillion pounds an hour. So I just knocked on the door and I said, and I was vulnerable. I actually said, you know, my absolute truth, which normally you just wouldn't do on someone's neighbor's doorstep. That person then gave me an hour of their time. I repaid them, not in money because I couldn't afford to do that, but I bought all these chocolate gold coins. I bought hundreds of them and I packaged them up and I said, your wisdom was worth its weight in gold. And I put that on their doorstep, and they're not used to people doing things like that. That was how I asked for some help, and that was a neighbor. Now, I think that's what we should look, right, Kate? Look at the people that surround us. Is that our first port of call?
I think so. And just start talking about it. You know, it's putting it out there, isn't it? And then like a magnet, things will start to attach to it. So somebody will say, well, actually, my neighbor is really good at that. It's not your neighbor. You know, they're great. Or like this person here, or I know this person, they were in your shoes a year ago. And actually, they probably got some really good advice and they had the same struggle. So I think they'd probably really like to pay it back and help you. And it's putting it out there. And I think it is, you know, somebody just said successful business is about surrounding yourself with experts. I think that can be really true, and particularly as it grows, because like in any business, and a lot of the work I do in sort of leadership development in big businesses are for leaders who have done really, really well because they're technically brilliant. So I'm really brilliant at creating this product. I'm really brilliant at printing, and you know, and then it grows, their area of responsibility grows, or your business grows, and all of a sudden all these other skills need to come in.
Yes.
Now, they don't all sit in one person. You're bloody lucky if they do. Actually, probably not, because then you're going to be overwhelmed. But, you know, like, they probably don't, and they don't need to either. And that transition point is around getting those pieces of expertise around you, so that it's not you that has to have all of the answers. And that could come in, you know, it can come in all sorts of ways. I mean, there can be courses you go on. There's probably loads and loads and loads for free, but there's also mentors. There's also neighbours. There's people who might let you shadow them for an hour. You know, there's the skills exchange idea with this community, or partnership. So, you know, I've just set up a second business, really, and I partnered with somebody because it's allowing us to do something through that business that it's just better. Like, it's just easier, it's more fun. No, for various reasons, we've got a partnership now, and that's brilliant. It's going really, really well. So it's just about getting creative. It's not about I'm gonna have to hire somebody and then everybody be responsible for their life, you know, and their income and their well-being, and that's really stressful. Bring just little bits in when you need them, you know, bits of expertise, bits of advice, and just start putting it out there, because you put it out in the, you know, I really believe this, you put it out there in the universe and it comes back to you. It will.
100%. If you do not out it, you know, if you do not out it, the universe can't respond. And someone was said to me, who was saying this to me, that business, they didn't believe business was a soulful thing. Actually, one of my podcast guests coming up, he didn't believe business was a soulful thing. He was quite blue, he's quite left side of the brain, until he launched his business. And then he realized it's 50-50. For him, it's been a spiritual journey. Launching his business, because he doesn't understand the miracles that have happened to him. He doesn't understand how that even happens, but it was because he was putting out in the universe what he needed. The other thing I would say is, really, and I think this is, again, I'm going to rip off the plaster a little bit here, everyone. We must have done 100 of these, not me and Kate, but a lot of them with Kate on IGTV. Go back to SME SOS first time round, okay? If we as businesses don't spend the time to go and actually look at the stuff that's already out there, and we think it's not existing, and then we're requiring it, we've actually got to give ourselves an hour in the diary, half an hour in the diary. Go back to our IGTV library. Everything is listed there. Everything has a title, and allow yourself to look at it, because my goodness, we have covered guilt. We've covered the fact that, you know, so many parents and mums are not able to juggle. What is the juggle? We've asked, we've delved into finance. We've delved into marketing, what my top tips in marketing would be. Lots of these things that we're doing next week, email marketing, who's your audience yesterday, all these things. Have you watched every single one of these episodes? Because I would say that is a great quick way of getting a lot of the you know, we cut to the chase here, don't we, Kate? I mean,
it's gold dust. It's absolute gold dust in there. It really, really is. And I think that one thing, I don't know, we haven't talked about it, but maybe have on another live that's coming to mind as well as important. Maybe we talk about it another time if it's not there. But just when you were talking about putting things out into the universe, I was also thinking about the importance, like what makes that magnetic a lot of the time is also sharing your passion and purpose. And I think particularly when we're overwhelmed by something or feeling stuck at the moment, I think some people have slightly lost that connection. So I'm wondering, I don't know, maybe at some point that might be an interesting thing to start talking about. Somebody said about motivation earlier. What motivates us often is our passion. Or that is our passion and purpose coming to life, and that's what people are drawn to when you're asking for help. I'd love to help you, because that sounds amazing, kind of thing.
That sounds brilliant. Kate, we could talk forever on this, couldn't we? I've got 3 minutes to wrap it up. Thank you so much as ever for your help, and I'm going to see you next week. We're going to be tackling another rewiring episode, but thank you for all your time and energy you put into this, Kate.
Pleasure. See you soon.
Take care. Bye. Bye. I've got these comments. Hello, look at me now. Being afraid to step outside your comfort zone is a way of your subconscious mind protecting you from what it doesn't know. It's very more normal. Take one step at a time. Richie B, my wife and I are just starting up a business, and I have found lots of help from the council and locally founded organisations. It's been a big help. Talk of plants. You've sometimes got to feel the fear and do it anyway. What's the worst that can happen? Hello, Quirk and Whimsy. Beginning to learn that just working harder isn't always the answer. Working smarter and allowing yourself to rest and share the load sometimes is a better answer. Thank you. I totally agree. Fenton Yard Flowers, this is so wonderful. I feel so lucky to be at this session. You ladies are giving so much with your time, and we're all so grateful for that. We're here to serve. Kirsty Seal Fitness, the mindset chat is exactly what I need right now. Reach for the stars, absolutely, and then reach beyond the stars if you can. Altruistic Living, I do little drawings of motivational mountains and plot out where I want to be each month of the year. I love that. Did you have little posts that say January, February, March? And that really helps me focus on hitting goals, whether personal or business. Listen, what a session we've had. Tomorrow I'm going to be joined by Fair. This is the wholesale marketplace. So imagine not in the high street, I think, but for wholesaling. So we have got an expert from Fair. Do you remember last week? They didn't even know they were going to join. And then we've made sure that they are joining. So we are going to be talking about practically, have you considered wholesale for your business? You might have, you might not have. You might not know the first steps. This is going to tackle everything wholesale. And also, if you found this session to be useful, do head over to the Advice Hub. It's a small business newspaper on holly&co, where we've got things such as articles about the art and the importance of non-negotiables, the power of the wonky week. That's it, the wonky week, and how to avoid burnout. And this is all free of charge. As I said, you've got to make time to just give yourself maybe half an hour of this every single day. So tomorrow at 10 a.m, we're going to be joined by Fair, F-A-I-R-E, which is a wholesale website. And they're going to be talking to us. Obviously, I'm going to get into the details of how to go wholesale, how to look at our costs, margins, how difficult is it? This is only going to be one option for you to join their marketplace, but it's going to get us into that mindset, because a lot of people are talking about wholesale. It has been a delight. Claire McClory, I'm trying to launch, and well, you are hitting some home truths. Growth mindset keeps being taken over with imposter syndrome. That's it. Guys, as ever, we have had a wonderful session, haven't we? And we are hopefully getting over that, or is it that? Over that, and into our growth mindset. I'm going to see you tomorrow at 10. All my love as ever.